Hello, hello. It is your Astro Coach Sarah here for Wellness Astrology, this time for the moon in Sagittarius, the full moon in Sagittarius. This is going to be a great full moon. I feel like for some, for other people, it is going to be super insanely challenging, but it depends on where you are and what you're up to and all of the things. It's an active moon for that matter. So let me pull up the chart so I can time you through kind of everything, maybe to the best of my ability. Hold on one sec. All right. So we are talking about June 9th through the 11th. The moon's in Sag. As you can see in this chart, it's June 9th, which is Monday, and this is at 12:08 p.m. on Monday. Mercury has already moved into Cancer. So that's what's going to kick off the situation. Mercury moving into Cancer means that Mercury is now going to square Saturn. So communications could be a little feisty, dicey because emotional words may need to be said, making people feel small, making people feel uncomfortable, um, that sort of thing. And I also just want to point out that we have the building square between Mars and Uranus pretty much this whole week. But Mars is in an exact trine to Chiron finally. So that could bring up a lot of masculine wounds, maybe your own wounded masculine. Remember, masculine energy, we all have it, not just men, but women have masculine energy as well. And so, energetically, this could bring up some wounded masculine, making you want to kind of do things yourself because maybe you're just emotionally over trying to get your man to do, to take out the trash. So you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it my goddamn self. Or, a wounded man could be, very feisty and very um, kind of in fight mode, uh, sort of, especially with things now moving into Cancer with that watery energy. So then, um, as we move along, there we go. Jupiter, at the end of the day on Monday, moves into Cancer and starts to really square Saturn, with the moon in Sagittarius. Okay. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, but he's going to have this third square with Saturn. This is going to perfect on the 15th, but we're already feeling it. We've been feeling it for a couple of weeks, with recent announcements related to things from 2020. And so it was no surprise to me that announcements came out about pregnant women and children, healthy children, and the jibby jab and all of that. Literally no surprise because Jupiter is in Cancer for this third opening first quarter square between Jupiter and Saturn that had a conjunction, Jupiter and Saturn conjuncted, remember, at 0 Aquarius in January of 2020. So that's what kicked off all of this fun that we've been having. Anywho, so lots of things could come out of this. Unfortunately, I have been hearing rumors of, face face covers coming back. God, I fucking hope not. I hope people don't fall for this shit again. But I know there are people who will, and to each their own. Just let the rest of us not have to be a part of it if we don't want to. I thought it was ridiculous the first time around. Um, but you do you. I'm certainly not here to judge. I just am very opinionated. Whether I don't mean it to come out judgy if I make sarcastic comments. You do you. I just don't want to have to be forced to follow rules that I choose not to follow. So anywho, off my soapbox about that. So while Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, it's sticky for the first like 5 degrees of Cancer because of the squares to Saturn and to Neptune. However, the moon is full or building to a full moon in Sagittarius, which is Jupiter. So Jupiter's the dispositor or the ruler of this full moon, and he's moved into his exaltation, but squaring Saturn. So that means that your ability to be kind of amped up lit up or magnified or um, pumped about what you're up to is that much more important. You're gonna have to develop, if you haven't already, ways of processing things that emotionally trigger you so that you can get your work done, right? I made some big decisions a couple of weeks ago and I sat with them for most of a day. And then, like, I was like, I got to process these because I got to get my workout in, right? So my fitness is becoming a more of a priority. My well-being, my overall health is becoming a bigger priority. Aries is my sixth house, which is health and well-being, by the way. Um, but so what I'm saying is that if you want to get shit done, you're gonna need to take responsibility and develop ways of processing information, emotions, reactions, responses, triggering issues. You're going to need to develop ways or have ways of processing them so that you can get back to work. This is where I'm saying the Saturn Neptune in Aries is about, what just happened? Um, that's a lot of sirens for my little town, but that's okay. Um, you're going to need to, it's the survival of those who can hustle hard and still maintain their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And what that means to me is that you've got to be able to process your emotions or information and have your resources aligned for your physical. You're going to need to have those all together so you can hustle hard. There's no way out of this without making some adjustment in your routine, in how you deal with shit, in how you process emotion, and how quickly you can rebound from a situation, an incident, a crisis, whatever. That's what's gonna have you excel during, especially with Mars or Jupiter in Cancer. This next year is going to be like Jupiter in Cancer is our saving grace about the next year, right? Because like we have so many sticky, nasty transits. And I won't say sticky, nasty, but like difficult to digest transits. Maybe we'll put it that way, or difficult to process. Jupiter exalted in Cancer is like, woohoo. Um, but the other good news is we do have Venus now in Taurus, her home sign. So let's get to um this full moon, which is at 22, I think. 20. Okay, I'm wrong. Okay, not exact, but we're gonna work with it. I know I don't have it to the minute, but I don't, and it's okay. Um, okay. So 20 degrees of Sag, 20 degrees of Gemini is the sun. Jupiter and Mercury are now in Cancer, but look at these nodes at 23 degrees of Virgo and Pisces. This full moon is indeed a grand mutable cross. I fucking love this. Let's see if I can get a screenshot. There we go. Let's bring that up. And where's my marker? Okay. All right. So we got sun and moon, obviously. Oh, that's not very thick. Hold on. Let's make that a bit wider and maybe even a bit darker. Floop, there we go. And then we've got the south node in Virgo and the north node in Pisces. Y'all know I am not a good artist. That's okay. And then of course these two are in opposition. Again, I am a terrible artist. I've never been able to do a straight line in my life. So I figure it's because I always color outside the lines. Mutable Grand Cross. Not exact. It's a 3-degree orb, but it's there. The orb of influence, I mean, the orb would be more, if it was like 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees, I'm not sure I would really, but it doesn't matter because the moon will certainly pass 23 degrees in a few hours post this full moon. The sun will T-square the nodes in a few days after this full moon. And so this is a checkpoint. And I'm going to say this because I know what's coming in the very near future. First of all, the peak of the Saturn Jupiter square on the 15th. But then we start Cancer season with the Sun Jupiter conjunct and the Cancer new moon and all of those things. There's a lot going on in the next like 10, 15 days. You're going to have to make some hard decisions. You're going to have to, and I've been talking about this for the better part of the last week or so, you're going to have to hard yes and hard no. No, I don't want to go hang out this weekend. No, I don't want to go drink. No, I don't want to, I got to get my exercise in. I got to work on the contract for a client. I've got to work on this art project. Set your own deadlines, even if you're not a deadlines person. Maybe it's time you become your own deadlines person and set yourself up so that you can take advantage of this energy. Because come mid-July, when we have Uranus and Gemini and Jupiter out of the squares to Saturn and Neptune, the shit's going to get funky wild. And you better, be somewhere with it or it's going to, I love this because I think it's good. I think it's good if you accept the challenge, if you accept the red pill. By that I mean take the adventure, take the journey, be hard on yourself a little bit, while at the same time being compassionate when you need a day off, but knowing the consequence. I talk about a lot like consumption. And it's kind of become a conversation of like, I'm not here to tell you what to and not to consume, but just know what consuming certain things does to your sensory palettes, right? If you consume news media, it coats your palette, it coats your audio palette, your visual palette. And what does that do? It messes with your nervous system. It messes with your mental and your cognitive. It also messes with your ability to trust yourself. It also messes with your psychic senses so that you can't perceive the intuitive information being offered to you by God, divine source, universe, whatever the hell you call it. You've got to get really fucking clear of letting go of something that is really holding you back. And for a lot of people, this could be digging up some really deep wounds with this Mars trine Chiron. This could be some deep wounds surfacing. But I would just like to remind you that you're here in this lifetime, whether you believe in reincarnation or not. I do, but that's not the point. Whatever happened in my past lives, whatever happened with my ancestors, I'm here to do something on my own, not just for me, but for those who follow me, and not obviously not my children, but the women who come behind me, whether it's other women or young blind people, blind children, or what. And if I, as a blind woman in my mid 40s, can present the idea that if you're limited in one sense, you're probably fucking psychic in another. You just got to practice and work with it and hone it and cleanse the palate of it. This is a really tense, but really good. Squares are not bad. They are tension to teach you something, similar to Saturn. Saturn is not bad. It doesn't bring bad things. It brings you lessons. And sometimes those lessons, and sometimes depending on how much fixed energy you have in your chart, you got to be hit upside your head a few times by the universe before you cooperate. So I like this full moon a lot, but I can see where it could be very tricky for some people. And by the time that this full moon peaks, then it may even be tricky for me. But looking at the astrology, like I think it's going to be tense as fuck. I think it's going to have something to do with the Jupiter Saturn square because the full moon squares the nodes, which are on the health axis. Saturn and Virgo are on the health axis. So certainly we've got some stuff coming up about health, nutrition, food sources, things like that. This could be restrictions of food. Who knows? Who knows? It seems like the story is different like every other day, but honestly, like I haven't seen any restrictions in my immediate area. That doesn't mean that it won't happen. But also I can tell you that I've been through rough times before and I've learned how to pivot on a dime and be like, oh, okay, you don't have this item. Well, then I can use that item instead, right? Like if you don't have canned beans, that's fine. I know how to cook dry beans, right? It's those kinds of things um, that many people are not resourceful enough to know how to deal with and pivot on a dime. Um, So those of us who are probably will thrive and rise above. And then those who don't know how to thrive and pivot on a dime are probably going to have a stickier situation. If you're a control freak, good luck because your time is limited on how much of this world you're controlling at the moment. So anyway, again, I like it. I really do, um, even though it's a grand cross, even though it's a Jupiter Saturn conjunction or square. I don't know. I'll tell you, I mean, I thrived through 2020. It's when I wrote my fictional narrative. It's when I, got into astrology. It's when I got into Reiki and just I took the time. I took the time that I had. Had just moved. So I didn't really know anybody and I didn't really know my way around. And um the person I was staying with, her and I had different opinions on what was going on. So I didn't have a lot to do. So I studied and I learned and I got where I got, and I thrived through it. And I think what pissed me off the most was how many people criticized, belittled, and berated me for how I chose to get through the circumstances of 2020. Um, and so I'm pretty sure maybe that's kind of where my anxiety and my anticipation is coming from. It's like, fuck, am I gonna have to put up with people literally criticizing me, berating me? I mean, I'm telling y'all, when I say I got told some words in 2020, 2021, and there are people who will have not spoken to me since 2021. I think that's what I'm more like how many people are going to not necessarily how many people are going to fall for it, but how many people are going to mistreat one another? Like humanity's got some decisions to make here, like big decisions to make about how we treat each other and how we interact with each other. So um, I think it's going to be really an interesting. And we have so many little issues happening in the United States that are going to turn into big issues here very quickly, I feel like. Um, just all over the place. So let's see what's up with the tarot. I know this is getting kind of long-winded. The more I try to make them shorter, the longer they seem to be getting. So, let's see what's up with the tarot for the full moon in Sagittarius. I do think it's a crossroads. I think it's a crossroads for humanity as much as it is individually. Between all of the AI and robots and stuff like that, and people in relationships and um, just people and how they treat one another and everything in between. So where'd you go, booger? Well, evidently that card did not want to play today. Let's see if I can find it really quick. I usually try to find them with my feet. Oh well, I'll have to find it when I finish this video. Apparently it did not want to play today. Okay, I don't want to waste time trying to find it. Okay. So full moon in Sag Tarot. Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got going on. Dun, da, da, da. The Magician in reverse. Oh, people aren't feeling very magical. I think their magic feels a little dimmed out. And that's a lot to do with Saturn, Jupiter, involvement with this full moon. Like I said, Jupiter is the dispositor, the ruler of the full moon, and he's in a square with Saturn. So I feel like, people are just not feeling their best. But also, let me just remind you that no matter where Saturn is or Jupiter is or anything else, you're always a magician. You can always make magical things happen in your life, no matter what. We got the Hanged Man upright. Did we just have the Hangman in reverse recently? The Hangman upright. Uh, yeah, I mean, this is the restriction, like, right? Like, you are the magician that's in your own way because you're in reverse, right? The Hanged Man, like, you're being hung by your feet. You don't know which way to go. This is a turning point. Hopefully you were able to get messages from that Jupiter Mercury conjunction, the Mercury Cazimi we've recently had. But like, this is you not had the magician in reverse is you not having the confidence in yourself. Therefore, you're staying hung up by your feet. Um, and you're going to allow the circumstances of the world to keep you hung by your feet because you feel like you can't make your own decisions. But the reality is you can make your own decisions and you can take a stand and you can rise above no matter what restrictions or otherwise that come out of whatever's going on right now. You can rise above it. You can stand against it. I did in 2020, y'all. I was basically asked just not get arrested, but you do whatever you need to do. And that's what I did. I didn't get arrested for not following rules. All right, we got Iris Rainbow. Ooh, follow the rainbow. The rainbow is your magic. The rainbow is your magic, and the pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow. The rainbow is your magic. You've got to believe in your own ability to create magic in your life. That's that simple. You've really got to believe in your own colorful, unique self. So, anyway, happy full moon in Sag, and I'll talk to you on the next video. Take care.